Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the course code ENG455, lecture number 30. As you can see, the topic of our discussion today is a sign language. So let's see before what sign language is, what are the major focus areas of our lecture today. Today we will talk about sign language, then we will talk about some myths about sign language, and its importance, that why this sign language is important. When we have this language comprised of sound symbols, then why we need these sign language, or what is the importance of sign language. Then we will talk about American Sign Language, some of the rules in American Sign Language, the structure of this sign language, and then finally we will talk about finger spelling as a rule, as a type of language within American Sign Language. So, but over here, let me give you an introduction to sign language. Sign language is something different from body language. So please don't confuse sign language with body language. Now, what is body language? Body language is use of bodily gestures and facial expressions while communicating. And with body language, we actually, sometimes we also use the verbal language. For example, I do not know, now the movement of these shoulders, this is my body language, because I'm using my body to say something. Maybe I'm saying something with my only with my body. Maybe somebody asks me, do you know where Tom is? And I say, so this is my body language, where I am communicating my message with the help of my body. Okay, and somebody asks me how this thing is working, and I say, whoa, now wow, now this is again my body language to show that okay, this is very good. Or I can say, yeah, again using my body, my hand, to tell that okay, it's not just okay. So that is the body language, and body language is used by the people who have the actual language as well. Now, what is the actual language? The language that we speak by using the sound symbols, by using the written symbols, even the way we are able to communicate with this actual human speech, and the body language or the facial expression, they are used to make that language more reflectable, more easy and more convincible. So that is a body language, and the body language is not called a sign language. Sign language is something different. So what is a sign language? A sign language is basically the language based on signs, and it is used by the deaf people. This is the first basic difference. These people, because they cannot hear the actual language that I speak, because of some problems in their auditory organs or auditory nerves, because of such problems, they cannot actually hear the human speech. So they use a language that is known as sign language, and they use this language to communicate with other people, with all other people around them. So the sign language is the one that is used by deaf people, that is not used by ordinary human beings. Like, I am having a language, I won't be using sign language. Yes, but if I have to communicate something to a deaf person, then I would be using would be trying maybe to some sort of sign language. So sign language is a language that is used primarily by hearing impaired people. Again, hearing impaired people, the deaf people, because their auditory, either the organs they have the problem, or their auditory nerves they have the problem, but because of any reason they have issues with their hearing. So by these hearing people, they use sign language. And then what sign language is? It actually uses a different mediums to express, to communicate ideas. Again, just like us, that when we communicate with the help of this spoken language, we utter different types of sounds, and then these sounds, they are combined to create words, and words to sentences. So this way again I am using different sound symbols, but maybe the medium I am using one, or sometimes along with this spoken human speech, I use my body gestures. So again I am using two mediums to convey my message. What are those two mediums? The one, my body gestures, my facial expressions, and secondly my spoken words. So two mediums I'm using at one time to communicate with the other people, or to communicate my message. Similarly, the deaf people, they also use a variety of mediums to communicate themselves. Like they make use of hands, the sounds, they have the proper symbols like this, like for example, this is L. Sometimes we also do this. Okay, what is this? This is L. So this is the shape of L. So this way they use hands, they use face, and also the eyes. They use the eyes, not the vocal tracts or ears. The face part, where you can say the eyes, because they see the deaf people when communicating. For example, if I am communicating, if I am deaf, then I am communicating. The other person would also be visualize these signals. These signs won't be received by auditory signals. Rather, they would be received by the visual organs. So these organs, they are involved in creating sign language: hands, face, and eyes, but not our mouth, not the vocal tract or ears. They are not. Sometimes they even make use of mouth as well, but not for uttering sound. Like they make different shapes of mouth to convey, again to sign certain something, but not making the use of sounds. Keep this thing in mind. They make actually use of the mouth shapes, or the eyes shape, or the hands shape, and the different parts of the body. And one important thing, for the sign language, we use our body till over here, till the middle part of your body. Up till here you use your body for sign language, and not below that, or not the whole body you are going to use for the sign language. This is again a restriction for sign language. And the people who understand, who communicate in this sign language, they are quite feel at ease to understand the sign language. So this is what is meant by sign language, not derived from spoken language. And another important feature of this sign language, that it is not at all linked with the spoken language. As I told you, the spoken language is used with normal human beings which are not having any visual or auditory impairments problems. They use the words, they use the spoken words and spoken symbols to communicate, while on the other hand, the deaf people, they do not have any Actually, the problem is that they are deaf. They are having problems with their auditory organs, not at all having problem with their vocal organs. But again, because they cannot hear anything, so that's why they are not able to do that spoken language as well. Because a child, if you remember the child development process, how the child perceives language, when he hears to the people around them. This way the child develops a language. So in the child development process, the auditory, visual organs are auditory, visual, and articulatory. Three organs are very important, because he learns the language from the environment. So with these deaf people, the issue is that because they are unable to hear the sounds, they are unable to get the spoken language, the standard language. Maybe they are able to produce sounds out of their mouth. If they are given total practice, maybe they are able to produce sounds out of their mouth, proper language as well. But again, one deaf people, one deaf person to another deaf person, how they can communicate. I mean, with this, if even a deaf person is speaking, the other is not listening, the other person is speaking, this one is not listening. So what is the use of that spoken language? With these deaf people, there is no use of spoken language. So again, spoken language, maybe they can be given the practice in written language, and they can be the good writers. But the issue is again with their spoken language. They do not have any spoken. I mean, they prefer the sign language. Because they feel at ease while communicating in sign language, and this is the only way they can communicate with other deaf people. Now, the question that arises over here is why we should study sign language. I mean, I am a normal human being, you are a normal human being, then why we are discussing this issue of sign language today? Why it is important to study sign language? And the study of sign language, yes, it is 100% important for deaf people, but at the same time, we as normal human beings should also have some know-how about the sign language. So our next topic is why we study sign language. Now, first aspect, sign language exhibits some functional properties. Now, with respect to the people who are linguists, for example, if I am a linguist, I have some interest in language, whether it is a spoken language of the world, whether it is a body language, whether it is a facial gestures, whether it is, I mean, language in any form would interest me as a linguist. Similarly, for the linguist, this sign language is also a very interesting phenomenon. Because in sign language, they have observed, while studying the sign language, these linguists, they have observed that the sign language, it exhibits some same functional properties and follows same universal principles as spoken language. Possible evidence of universal grammar. Again, if you remember the Chomsky idea of universal grammar, according to Chomsky, there are certain features of language, spoken language he talked about, there are certain features of language which are common all around the world. There are standard grammatical rules which are being shared by all human beings. So that is the idea of universal grammar. And this idea of universal grammar, it holds also true for the sign language. The linguists, the researchers who worked on the sign language, they observed that these sign language, they have all around the world. The people, I mean, are in different corners of the world using different types of sign languages, but at the same time, their majority of these sign languages, they have majority of the things in common. They have the same functions all around the world. For example, in the people in the deaf people in America, the sign language they are using is mean not totally similar, but somehow it is similar to the language that is used by people in France, or the language that is used by deaf people even in Pakistan, India. So all around the world, the people, yes, they have their own sign languages. In almost all countries, the people, they have the countries, they have their own sign language. But again, the study of these sign languages around the different parts of the world have proved that these languages all around the world, they have similar features. So once again, these similar features, they show the idea or existence of universal grammar. So the Chomsky idea of universal grammar does not hold true only for the spoken language, it holds true for the sign language as well. So on the basis of this observation, we can see the sign language is an important form of communication. It is a language, yes, in the form of sign, not in the form of spoken word, but still a language. Then another thing about the importance of sign language is that the study of sign language provides unique insight into the nature of language itself. How? When you study sign language, as we will try to do, we will try to study some of the features in sign language, grammatical aspects of sign language, and you will see the sign language doesn't mean that it is comprised of only few signals, few signs that you use your hands and your body to make certain signs. But the sign languages, they have proper vocabulary. The sign language, it has proper grammatical patterns and grammatical rules to follow. So the sign language is very important to consider as a language, because it has all the features just like the spoken language. and the linguists, they study into the sign language. They provide a unique insight into the nature of language itself. Then we can say, okay, language is not that we speak only. Language is about so many things. Language is actually the tool of communication. Now this communication can be in the sound symbols form, or this communication can be in sign form. The thing that matters is that it is a language. Language that uses signs to communicate. Then why else we need to study this sign language is that brain function similarities indicate language not based on hearing and speech. One more scientific evidence to consider the sign language as a form of language. The scientists, the neurolinguists, the researchers, they have conducted certain tests, and they proved that the brain functions are similar. This brain function, it works on the similar ways while it is working with the people having language in spoken form, while it is working with the people having the sign language. When they produce any sort of when they communicate in any sort of language, whether it is a sign language, whether it is a language comprised of sound symbols, in both people the brain functions it is almost similar. Again, we use, as if you remember, the language is the language of the spoken words. It is in the left hemisphere of the brain. Similarly, people who use sign language, they use the left hemisphere of the brain. So what does it mean? What does it indicate? Yes, that the sign language, we should consider it as a language. It is, so we can say, on the basis of these observations, we can say that languages, the conceptions about language are very confined, very limited. Actually the language is beyond our thinking. Language is something beyond the reach of, beyond the reach of common man to define it. Language is not only comprised of sound symbols to communicate. Language is also about the signs. The basic purpose is communication of ideas. The basic purpose is interaction. The basic purpose is flow of information. And whether this is the sign language or it is a language comprised of sounds, in both languages you have the same thing, and that is language. So we can consider that language is at the top. The language phenomena is at the top, and when we need to define it, we have to consider all of its aspects. Language that is in spoken form, language which is a language spoken form plus the body language, and language that is in the form of signs. All these are the three different variations of these three different faces of the language. These are all of these ways are meant to communicate, meant to interact. So this is language. If we define language as a tool of communication, then the sign language is also a language, because the deaf people, with the help of sign language, they easily communicate, they interact, they convey whatever they want to say, they provide all sort of information. So why sign language is important? Because it is a language. And as a linguist, if we are interested in language, so sign language is also a part of it. We need to put interest into the sign language as well. Then the next question. There are certain myths about sign language. What are those myths? Let's see. And let's see whether they are right or wrong. Whether we will say yes or no to these myths. What is myth number one? Myth number one is that sign language is universal. That what does this universal shows? That in every corner of the world we use the very same sign language. No. In every corner of the world, in every country of the world, there is a different sign language. So sign language is not a universal. You cannot say, okay, because they make use of the hands and they make use of the faces expression, so all over the world the people who communicate in sign language, they do the same thing. But on the basis of this, we cannot say that they have the same signs to say same thing all around the world. In one corner of the world, if a sign with a hand of a proper, for example, I am not perfect in sign language, but still, for example, I make any sound like this. This is a symbol. Now I do not actually know what is the meaning, so I'm just explaining the process. Maybe this sign is meant something different in American Sign Language. Maybe this sign is meant something different in French Sign Language. Maybe this sign is something different in Chinese Sign Language. Maybe this is something different in my own community sign language. So the sign language is not at all universal. In every corner of the world, there are the different symbols that are used to communicate different things. And that's why we have varieties in sign language, just like the varieties in, for example, we cannot say that the spoken language is only one standard human language. No, because we have varieties. We have Urdu language, we have Pashto language, we have Chinese language, we have Sindhi language, we have French language, we have Dutch, we have Polish, so many languages. In every corner of the world, there is a different language. Similarly, the sign language also has varieties, and in every country and every part of the world, they have their own standard sign language. Like America, in America, the sign language that is used as, and that is nowadays it is again some type of the language that is adopted in the countries. Nowadays it is being adopted by the countries where there is no standard sign language already existing. But America has its own sign language. The British people, they have their own sign language. Spanish people, they have their own sign language. French people, they have their own sign language. So in every part of the world, majority of the countries, they have their own standard sign language. So it means the sign language is not a universal thing. This was the first myth. What is the second myth? The second myth is sign language is like a mimicry. The word is from mimicry, where you copy something. Does in sign language it is all about mimicry? No, a big no. Why? Because some signs within the sign language, some signs they may be iconic, but others are not. Means there are certain symbols which are iconic, which are considered as icons, but majority of them are not. For example, if you consider the example of apple, apple is a fruit. In American Standard Language, the word apple has a different sign, and in other languages, in other sign languages of the world, it has a different sign. So some symbols they are universal. This exhibits the universality, that there are certain features which are universal. There are certain types of signs which are almost common in all parts of the world, but majority of them are not. Majority of them in every sign language, they have different. Whereas the mimic can use the whole body. Another difference. The first difference is it is not a mimic, because in mimicry we have everything iconic, whereas in the sign language we do not have everything iconic. Another difference is that in mimic we use the whole body from top of the body to our feet. We can use every part of the body. Even we can use our legs to communicate something. But in sign language, as I mentioned in the beginning, we use only the upper part of the body. The sign language's area are only area between the waist and the head. Only the top part of the body is used to communicate in sign language. This was another myth. Now another myth about this sign language is that sign language has no grammar on its own. Again, wrong. Totally wrong. Sign language, just like the languages of the spoken languages, they have their own grammars. It is we cannot say that any sign language is ungrammatical. For example, American Sign Language is not English on the hands. English grammar and American Sign Language grammar are very different. The people who are using the sign language, they definitely they are not using the sign language, that is they are not using the grammar of the spoken language. This thing you should keep it in mind, that okay, when I am saying that sign language has its own grammar, by this word has its own grammar means that it does not have the same grammar that we have with the spoken language, but it has grammar. different from that grammar which exists with reference to spoken language. For example, in American Sign Language, it has a free word order. In spoken language, we have a proper fixed word order, that is subject, verb, object. On the other hand, American Sign Language, it has a free word order. You can use anything, mean you can use subject at first place, or you can use even the object at first place, or even you can use the verb at first place. It has no fixed word order. Secondly, in the sign languages, American Sign Languages I'm referring to, they do not have any tense marker. They do not show the tenses with the help of the way we do in the regular language. So this is again, so the sign language, it has grammar, but its grammar is different from the grammar that we have with the regular languages. So another myth is that the sign language cannot convey the same meaning, complexities as spoken language. For example, we can say that when we use the spoken language, we can talk about anything in this world, or anything present in our imagination, or any complex thing. We can create a complex structure of sentences or paragraphs to convey, to talk about certain ideas. So the spoken language has this feature that it can encompass the complexity then, and it can provide any sort of complex meaning. So as on the other hand, the sign language cannot do it. Again, it is a myth. No to it. The sign language speaker, they can express anything they want in the language. Especially the American Sign Language. In American Sign Language, you can express, you can talk about, but the word talking over here, not the use of sign language. By the help of signs, by the help of your hands, you can talk about anything you want to talk about, you want to convey. So the sign language is, it has as much variety, it has as much standard to convey any sort of meaning that you want to convey with the help of this sign language. Now again, the question is, why sign language is important? Why these people, the deaf people, they need a language? If they are not, if the God has made them disabled, let them live the life of this disability. No. The sign language was created not to marginalize these disabled people, to make these disabled people part of our community, to make these disabled people the useful part of our community. And especially, I must mention over here that the developed countries like America, British, France, they consider the disabled people even as a potential, as a work potential, as a resources, human resources to conduct, to carry out different tasks. It is not just like it is not the case in our country, where usually the previous trend, maybe the trend is changing a little bit now, but where majority in our society, the disabled people, they are considered as a burden on the society. They are regarded as the only profession that would suit would be the begging or something like that, and they are unable to do anything, so they are marginalized. But on the other hand, the developed countries, they have created this idea of sign language just to consider these disabled people part of their language, part of their society, not to make them a burden on the society, rather than to make a potential increment in the human resources part of the society. Second important thing is about sign language is its basic purpose is to spread language. That language is not something that we use in the spoken form. To introduce the different varieties of languages, and then to spread this language in different areas of the world, and then possible as any other way of communication, radio, letter, television, newspapers, magazines. We can use any sort of medium to teach these languages, to make these people the part of the society, and to make these people the active part of the society. So that's why the sign language idea is important. Now the important one big thing, the most effective way to communicate with a deaf person is to use sign language or an interpreter. Because when we need to communicate with sign language, and if we want to make them a part of the society, we need to communicate with them. We cannot let them sit outside the circle of social circle, let them sit outside the circle of our communication. And we consider that only the normal human beings with the language ability, they have the ability to communicate with us. This is the wrong assumption. These people, these deaf people, they need to be communicated, and this communication can be done only by sign language, or even with the help of interpreter, a person who knows the sign language, and he can work as a link between you and that deaf person to convey him your message and to convey you his message. So again, the interpreter should have the knowledge of the sign language. So the knowing of sign language is very important to communicate with these deaf people, to make them an active part of the society. Over here, I have a question. Did you know that when two deaf people meet for the first time, they usually share information about what school they attended? This helps them to establish their ties with the deaf community. Now, again, this is the dilemma of our society. That yes, we have some schools for the people, for the children who have certain type of physical disability. We have certain schools for special children, but basically our society, it has a mindset. And what is that mindset? That we still consider these disabled people as outsiders, outsides of our social circle. But in the other parts of the world, as I told you, in the developed countries especially, they consider these disabled people as a part of their society. And to make them realize their importance, this idea of special schools in Pakistan is just a new idea. 10, 20 years back or 30 years back. But in the developed countries, this idea of deaf schools or the schools for the disabled children is getting promotion since the midst of previous century, 1950s, or it was 1960s, when the first school for the deaf children, it was established somewhere in England. And they do not only have established schools for these deaf children, they have also university for the deaf children. Think about their level of knowledge. They just like the normal human beings can acquire any degree of education from these institutes, from normal secondary school certificates to doctorate degrees. They can acquire, they can go and these universities to get trainings, to get skills learning, or to get any sort of knowledge. So that's why in their countries, when these two deaf people, I'm not talking about the deaf people in my country, because maybe they have not attended any school ever, but in their countries, when these two people they communicate, they come closer to each other, the very first time when they communicate, they talk about the schools they have attended, because in different schools there are different traditions over there. So by knowing that which school they have attended, they would be in closer contact to each other. For example, and if they have shared the same school, that's very good, because they both know the same sign language. So where the first thing that they communicate is that they want to know which school both of them have attended, in order to establish a proper way of that, okay, which signs would be appropriate to use with each other. So this is an observation about deaf people. Now, deaf people, they strengthen their social bonds by participating in deaf clubs. Over there, again, I'm talking about the other countries, the developed countries. Over there are properly social clubs for these deaf people. They have their activities programs, where they have their athletics programs. They have the role in the churches as well. The deaf people, they have proper tournaments where they participate. Their special picnic programs are arranged for them, and so many social events. Again, they have easy access to communicate, to participate in the social life circle. in our countries, still in these countries like Pakistan, India and Sri Lanka and these Bangladesh, the developing countries, still we have this dilemma, and we do not know that while making these deaf people as an active part, by making these disabled people as an active part of our society, we can increase the human resources in our country, we can make certain types of improvements. But that is again, as I use word dilemma again, that we do not consider it. We then consider them because they are physically disabled, so they are the disabled part of the society, they are of no use. But on the other hand, these developed countries, these deaf people, they are given the equal importance, rather more importance than the normal human beings. They have their own clubs, they have their own social meetings, picnics, tournaments, everything, with every facility they are provided with. Yes, there is a big, nowadays there is a trend that has started in our country as well to give certain type of education to these disabled people, to these deaf people, but still that level is only a small level scale. The majority of the scale, even the normal human beings, if they are not getting the proper rights for education, then how we can expect for these physically disabled people. Now, the first thing that I told you, when a deaf person communicates with another deaf person, what are the things they discuss at the very first level? Similarly, when a deaf person communicates with a normal human being, for example, if you are going to meet a deaf person for the very first time, what they want to know about you? They want to know your first and last name. They would be interested to know your name. And then secondly, they would be interested to know whether or not you have any sort of disability, you have any sort of problem with your hearing, like you are completely deaf, or you have hard hearing, or you have total complete hearing. They want to know your level of hearing. Then the next thing they would talk about, or they would interested to know, is that they would talk about your language and culture. What if you are not using sign language, then what language you are able to speak? And then about your culture, where you are studying, about your schools, where you are learning, and if you are using sign language with them, you are not disabled, you are properly with spoken language. But if you are able to communicate in some sort of sign language, then they want to know that, okay, from which area or from which school you are learning this sign language. This is another observation by for the deaf people. And what are their concerns for the way they want the information they want to know about the other people around them. Now, because these people, they are considered very much important, so it is advised, even in these developed countries, it is advised that the normal human being, they should get some know-how of the sign language, so that when they are meeting a deaf person, they could communicate with him in some way. And again, now how these deaf people, they use the sign language. Let's see some of the rules, some of the regulations, some of the grammatical aspects of the sign language. An important factor in sign language is that when we communicate, when the sign language you are using to communicate, then your dominant hand, use your dominant hand to sign. If you are a right-hander, then use your right-hander for the signs, and then the left hand, as you would be the assistant to it. And if you are the left-hander, then use it as a dominant hand for the signaling, for signs, and use the right hand as assistant to it. So use one dominant hand at a time. Do not try to confuse the deaf people by using both hands at a time and both hands as the dominant places. Use one hand at dominant as dominant places to use this sign language. That is an important basic for learning sign language. And American Sign Language is one of the world's many sign languages. As I told you that we are today talking about the sign language. But with respect to my own country, I was unable to find out any sign language that is particularly developed by our country. Actually, in our country, we also again use the American Sign Language or British Sign Language to communicate with the deaf people, to teach deaf people over here in Pakistan as well. So American Sign Language, our focus onwards would be now on American Sign Language, because we want to see because it is one of the standard sign language in the world, which is used in majority parts in America and the surrounding countries, and this is very, because this is a standard, because the signs they are used, it is a complete sign language in it, complete sign language with a perfect grammar, with perfect complexity level, and everything is there in this American Sign Language. So now our focus is on American Sign Language. American Sign Language is a language, because now our focus is on American Sign Language. So what it is a language that incorporates mimic and picture-like images to express and convey abstract ideas and concepts. Also, American Sign Language uses space and movements to convey meaning. This is the way American Sign Language is different from other sign languages, because it uses the variety of mediums to communicate. It does not only use the hand, it also makes uses of the pictures and to convey the abstract ideas. It also makes uses of the space and movements in order to convey certain meaning. So that's why the sign language, American Sign Language, is important. Where American Sign Language is used, it is used in America, Canada, in all the countries within the US continent, as well as in the Canada. So these people, because again in America around every child out of 10,000 children is a deaf person. So they have a big population of deaf children people, so they are utilizing them as a potential human resource. So this is American Sign Language. It is used in two major countries of the world, that is Canada and United States. And at the same time, American Sign Language is somehow similar to the French language, French Sign Language as well. According to Berlinger, American Sign Language is now the fourth most used language in the United States. What are the others? As you know, English, Spanish, these are the two spoken languages, and the third one, another language that is also a spoken language. So three spoken languages, and at the fourth number is the sign language. It is the fourth most used language in United States. American Sign Language and the culture are transmitted from generation to generation primarily through residential schools and deaf adults. As I told you that in America the ratio of deaf children it is a bit higher. And even the normal parents, they have normal parents with the proper hearing, they have sometimes deaf children. So because of these reasons, the American society, they give value to these deaf children. And the special schools are there almost in every corner of the country. Special residential schools where these deaf people, they do not only go for studying, they also reside there. So the parents, they send their disabled children, the children with the hearing problem, they send their children to these residential schools, and sometimes the normal schools as well, where these children, they get the proper language training. And and not only the children, but also there are certain schools for the deaf adults as well. They learn this sign language and become an active member of the society. Now, another important thing, American Sign Language grammar. As I told you about a myth that it is considered that okay, the sign language does not use any spoken word, so it does not have any grammar. That is totally a myth. American Sign Language, the sign language, it has a grammar. And now to provide an example, because we are focusing on American Sign Language, so let's see the American Sign Language. It has a proper grammar. And now what are the things which are in grammar are included? Phonology, semantics, grammatical feature, syntax. These things should be their morphology. So let's see these things one by one. American Sign Language phonology. Now this phonology doesn't mean the sounds. these sounds actually are replaced by signs in the sign language. So hand shape, location, movement, palm orientations, these are the phonological features of American Sign Language. Once again, the ideophone is not based on this sound that we utter, but rather the signs are the phones. There is also assimilation, syllabic constraints, for etc. as in the phonology of spoken language. Just like the spoken language, they also have the prosodic features that are associated with the sign language. So it means the phonology feature is there with the American Sign Language. Then in American Sign Language, we also have the morphological features. Again, the words, not exactly the word where the sounds are combined to create certain words like pa, a, e and na, and combined as pen. But over here, in again, because it is language of signs, so the signs, they are the phonological features. The signs, they are again the make the words. Parts of speech, for example, the noun, verbs, adjectives, pronouns, adverbs, all of these are there. You have all the morphological items in the sign language. A basic form can be inflected in American Sign Language, for example, give and different aspects. Similarly, nouns are associated with spatial points, moving between those marks with subject, object and pronominal relation. The whole mean they do not only specify the noun, they do specify their position as subject, object, place. And American Sign Language classifiers are embedded in verb signals, mean the relationals, the how the noun is associated with the verb, or how the noun at the object place is related with the verb. These things are also signified. And in American Sign Language, we also have compound noun. So look at all the morphological features which are there in regular language, we do have in the sign language as well. Then in American Sign Language, we have a syntax as well. For example, in regular language, we have a subject, verb, object order. But similarly, means somehow the American Sign Language, it has not exactly the same word order, but somehow it is similar to the same verb order. However, in ASL tends to be a free word order language, as I mentioned as already as well, that it does not have exactly the same subject, verb, object order. It has some kind of free word order. So, but still, the idea of word order is there. Though the free word order is there, but idea of word order, that is a grammatical notion, is there. Then American Standard Language allows pro-drop. What are the pro-drop? That are the subject-less sentences. The sentences where there are no verbs. Come here. Now I'm not using any subject. I'm just using a verb and the object, or a verb and the adverb. So these signs languages, they also have these kinds of sentences where the subject is omitted. Then facial expressions express emotion, but also signal syntactic relationships. Today, snow, trip, cancel. So to communicate this thing, they not only would be using the signs, they would use those facial expressions to convey the syntactic relationship. So let's as you have seen, observed that the features of grammatical features of normal language are there in American Sign Language as well. Then in American Sign Language, we have a proper structure. What is that structure? We have 5 basic parameters in American Sign Language. What are that 5 basic parameters which are used in sign language? Shape of the hand, number 1. You use the different shapes of the hands to signal certain something. So shape of the hand is number one parameter of sign language. Place of articulation. Now, do we have a place of articulation in sign language? Not the articulation place like that. This is the articulatory organ, that this is the place of articulation. In sign language, the locations serve as the places of articulation. Movement, yes, the movements of hand, the movements of different body part, the movements of your mouth, and the movement of your eyes, even every type of movement, and even the whole body movement sometimes. Palm orientation. as I told you that when you talk to these the deaf people, your palm orientation, when you use your hand, the palm orientation, this thing is very much important. Region of the hand contacting body, that the hand part which will use to contact the body part, that would mean something. Orientation of the hand to body, which side of the hand you are going to use to touch with your body, and orientations of hands to each other. And if you are using this as assistant to this, then which part of this hand and these hands are touching, the every touching part, it means something different. So these are the parameters. And finally we have the facial expression. You use the face expressions along with your body language, along with your hands and your movements to convey different signs. So this is the structure. American Sign Language is a properly structured language where you need to learn every single thing. Now some differences and similarities. In spoken language, what the differences and similarities between spoken language and in sign language. In spoken language, phonemes occur linearly. In American Sign Language, primes cannot. Mean in the phonemes, they occur linearly. Mean we utter them. If I want to say pin, they would occur in linear position, pa, e, and na. And then in a linearity, I will get pin, the word pin. But whereas in American Sign Language, the prime, they actually move in the space. So because of that problem, they do not have this orientation. In American Sign Language, it involves discrete components, just like spoken language. At similarity, it talks about the discrete and it has the discrete components. So it is just like the ordinary language. American Sign Language has minimal pairs. If you remember, in morphology related to spoken language, you have discussed what minimal pairs are. The minimal pairs are actually the two pair of words which are different from each other on the basis of a single phoneme. They are known as minimal pairs, like pit and fit. IT both are same, and only the difference is of the first phoneme, pa and fa. Pit, fit. So they make a minimal pair. This idea of minimal pair we do have in the American Sign Language. It's just like the spoken language. And speakers of both, like the sign language and this spoken language, they can have dialects and be perceived to have accents. Just like the normal language, in American Sign Language we also have dialects and accents, and the people belonging to different regions of America, they have a different dialect or accent. This dialect and accent we will discuss at the end. I have added them, but at the end of this presentation, that okay, what are the dialects and accents in American Sign Language. So next, let's move further. Now, as I mentioned that the hands are most important thing in use of sign language. So in hands we use fingers, especially fingers to create certain words. And in American Sign Language, there is a proper concept of finger spelling. Finger spelling is that we spell words with the help of fingers, with the help and shape of the fingers. This idea is known as finger spelling or manual alphabet. Now what happens and what is there in finger spelling is that words without assigned signs may be spelled. Now for every thing, usually in American Sign Language, majority of the things they have the signs. They are represented with the help of signs. For example, for apple there is a sign, for the word country there would be a sign, for a word cat there would be a sign. But sometimes we want to talk about something which we haven't heard before. We actually want to communicate the alphabet. So then we use the fingers. And the finger spellings, they actually actually represent symbols. And some commonly words become lexicalized, like no. We know what is meant by no. So this is a common lexical word. Then not the same hand shape is used in every sign language. Again, keep this thing in mind that if I'm talking about finger spelling, not the same finger spelling is used in every part of the world. In every part of the world there is a different finger spelling. Finger spelled loan signs are 2 to 5 letters. Okay, with the help of these fingers you can make a 2 to 5 loan words, letter words, commonly used words that have their own unique patterns of movements. These movements are different from regular finger spelling. Instead, these words have become American Sign Language signs. For example, dog, okay, car, bus, bank, early. When you see a finger spelled word, you should try to see the shape and movement pattern of the word rather than try to see each letter. Mean if a deaf person is using a sign language, a finger spelling sign language, then do not, okay, if he is making this movement, do not think, okay, this is the L, because we do not judge the letter from the shape of the hand. Do not try to see the letter. Just focus on the shape and the pattern of the hand. Because sometimes we think that this is something different, but in actual life it is something different. With their respect to finger spelling, the standard finger spelling, they make certain different, they have certain different letters. And when you finger spell a word, try to keep your hand slightly to the right of your face and below your chin. Avoid bouncing each letter. Again, certain rules are followed when you spell words with the help of fingers. So the sign language, it is a rule-bound language. It has proper ways to communicate, not a free language that this is okay, this is because this is the language for the disabled people, so it can have anything. No, it is a properly rule-governed language. Finger spelling is not a substitute for a sign. If you do not know a sign for a word, first try to act it out. Point to it. As I told you that in American Sign Language there are certain signs for every different things. And you cannot say that, okay, if I do not say that I do not know the sign of that word, so therefore for that thing, for example, I want to say cat, so I do not know what is the symbol for cat. But if I do not know it, then it doesn't mean, okay, I can tell it by using the finger spelling. First try to make it clear with the help of different things. Like first of all, try to act like that thing. Try to utter like, try to behave like that thing to make the deaf person clear what are you talking about, or point to it. If you see certain thing like this, point to it so that the other person gets the idea, or describe, or use gestures, or you draw it. Even you can draw it and then can communicate it. Finger spelling should be used as a last option. If you do not still are able to convey your message, then use finger spellings. Now look at these finger spellings. These are some of the standard finger spellings used to denote certain alphabets. Look at the A. This is A. And if you look at the shape of A, then do not confuse it. You cannot say, okay, the shape A should be like this. A normal person would be more interesting in this shape of A. That A shape is like this. But because as I told you that in the American Sign Language or in the sign languages, they have their own shape, they have their own ways to communicate. So what is A? This is A. This is A. The whole fist is this A. And when you want to say B, this is B. The whole hand is clear. And when you want to see C, this is C. Okay. When you want to see D, this is D. When you want to see E, this is E. When you want to say F, this is F. So this way, for every single sign word, we have a different sign. And this is all about the sign, what is sign language is all about. Then finally, as I told you, that the American Sign Language, just like the regular language, it do have accents and dialects. And it do have the dialects and registers just like the normal spoken language. Now, what are these dialects and registers in the sign language? Actually, there are the differences between groups within the same language. Now, American Sign Language is used differently by the different communities within the society. The blacks, they would use American Sign Language in a way different from the white people in America. So again, you know, the varieties. In American Sign Language, we have the varieties. We have the dialects. And they different from each other forms of American Sign Language. Also, just like the normal, that in normal conversation we have the formal and informal communicative styles. While communicating to our boss we are formal, while communicating to our little children we are informal. Similarly, in sign language you can have the formal and informal type of style of language to communicate with other people. These deaf people, when they are talking to, when they are communicating with the other deaf friends, then they use informal style, and when they are communicating with their teachers or with their elder person, they have the different signs. So again, the level of formality and informality is present in their language. So that was about sign language. I hope this would be this is a very interesting topic for you people, because usually the misconception with sign language is that the people, they confuse it with the body language. As I mentioned in the beginning, the body language is something that the normal human beings with the spoken language they can also use, and it's just the movement of certain body parts or facial expressions to accompany your actual language. But the sign language is a proper language for deaf people, where they have certain signs. And in this regard, we talked about certain myths, that okay, that the sign language does not have any grammar. Wrong. Sign language has grammar. Sign language is not universal, is universal. Wrong. Certain features are universal, but majority features are not universal. So then we talked about its importance, because the deaf people, they are considered an important part, an important asset of a society. So we need to communicate with them in a certain way. So setting a sign language is an important step in giving them a potential to work, to become an active member of the society. Then we talked about in detail about American Sign Language, what are the different signs, what are the different grammatical features in American Sign Language, what is the structure of American Sign Language, and talked about finger spelling finally, that how the words, they are spelled with the help of your fingers. So that was all about sign language. See you next week. Allah Hafiz.